Have you ever seen a child walk miles with no shoes on his feet? His tiny steps leaving marks in the dust, his eyes holding more pain than words could say. Every morning, he walked the same road, barefoot, hungry, and unnoticed. People passed by, cars honked, but no one stopped, until one day, a stranger pulled over. And what happened next brought an entire town to tears. The sun was just rising over the small village, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. The streets were alive with chatter, shopkeepers opening their stalls, children running with laughter, mothers calling them back home for breakfast. But one little boy stood out from the rest. His name was Arav, an 11-year-old boy with messy hair, a thin frame, and eyes that carried both innocence and struggle. Unlike the other children, Arav wasn't rushing to school with a backpack full of books or shoes protecting his feet. Instead, he walked barefoot, every step pressing against stones, thorns, and the hot earth that burned as the day grew. He carried an old, torn notebook tucked under his arm. It was his treasure, the only school supply he owned. His uniform? A faded shirt that was too big for him, handed down from a cousin. His shorts had holes near the seams, patched clumsily by his mother. But what stood out most were his bare feet. Cracked, dusty, bruised, feet that told a story of poverty far louder than words ever could. Arav lived with his widowed mother in a small hut by the fields. His father had passed away years ago in a farming accident, leaving behind debts they could never repay. His mother worked tirelessly, taking on laundry from wealthier families, sometimes skipping meals just to save enough money for his school fees. And Arav? He loved learning. No matter how far the walk, no matter how harsh the stares from others, he refused to miss school. He believed education was his only way out, a chance to give his mother the life she deserved. But the walk was long, nearly 5 kilometers each way. And every morning, as he walked barefoot, children from wealthier families would pass by on bicycles, pointing and laughing. Some even shouted cruel words, "Look at him! He can't even afford shoes!" Others just looked away, pretending not to see. Still, Arav kept walking, head down, steps steady, heart filled with quiet determination. He never complained, never asked for pity. He just wanted to learn. That morning, like every morning, he walked along the dusty road. The air was heavy with the smell of fresh bread from the bakery, the sound of bicycle bells ringing, and the chatter of children. But for Arav, the world felt silent. Each step was a reminder of what he didn't have. Yet, deep inside, he carried a dream that one day, these long barefoot walks would lead him to a future where his mother could rest, where he could stand proud, and where no child would ever have to hide their pain behind a smile. The days grew hotter. The summer sun blazed down mercilessly, turning the dusty road into a scorching path that felt like fire under Arav's small feet. He tried to walk faster, hopping from one step to another, but the pain was unbearable. His soles were blistered, red, and raw. At school, things weren't much easier. Arav was bright, always eager to answer questions, always the first to finish his homework. But his appearance made him an easy target. The other children wore clean uniforms, shiny shoes, and carried colorful bags. Arav, with his torn clothes and bare feet, was different. And in school, different often meant cruel jokes. "Don't sit near him, he smells of dust," one boy sneered. "Hey, maybe you can use your notebook to cover your feet." Another shouted, making the class erupt in laughter. Arav lowered his head, his cheeks burning with shame. The teacher tried to quiet the room, but the damage was done. The words cut deeper than the thorns on the road. At lunch, he sat alone under a tree, watching others share food and laughter. He had nothing to eat, just a bottle of water his mother had filled before leaving for work. He drank slowly, pretending it was enough, pretending he didn't care. But that day, as he walked back home, the weight of it all grew too heavy. He stopped by the side of the road and sat on a rock, clutching his notebook to his chest. His feet throbbed, his stomach ached, and tears rolled down his dusty cheeks. "Why, God," he whispered. "Why me? Why my mother? We work so hard. And still we have nothing." He thought about quitting school. What was the point of enduring this pain every day? Maybe he should work in the fields instead, help his mother earn more. Maybe dreams were only meant for children who had shoes, who had food, who had a father. As he sat there, lost in despair, cars and bicycles passed by. No one stopped. People glanced at him but quickly turned away, too busy with their own lives. To them, he was invisible, just another poor boy in the crowd. Hopelessness filled his heart. He felt smaller than ever, like the world had already decided his fate. He wanted to give up. He wanted the pain to end, but little did he know, everything was about to change. The next morning, Arav walked again, though slower than usual. His feet were swollen and every step made him wince. He hugged his notebook tighter, whispering to himself, "Just one more day. Just get through one more day." As he trudged along the road, a white car slowed down beside him. The window rolled down and a man's voice called out gently, "Hey, son, where are your shoes?" Arav froze. No one had ever asked him that before. He looked up to see a middle-aged man in a crisp shirt, his eyes kind but full of concern. Arav didn't know what to say. He simply shrugged and whispered, "I don't have any." The man frowned, his heart tightening at the sight of the boy's bruised feet. Without another word, he parked the car and stepped out. He knelt down in front of Arav, dust settling on his neatly pressed clothes. "You shouldn't have to walk like this," he said softly. From the back seat of his car, the man pulled out a shoebox. Inside was a brand new pair of sturdy black shoes. "Here," he said, holding them out. "Try these." Arav's eyes widened. His hands trembled as he touched the shoes, almost afraid they weren't real. For me?" he stammered. The man smiled. "Yes, for you. And don't worry, I have more at home. These are yours now." Tears filled Arav's eyes as he slipped the shoes on. They fit perfectly, wrapping his tired feet in comfort he had never known before. He stood up, took a few steps, and for the first time, the road didn't hurt. The man placed a hand on his shoulder. "Keep walking, son. Don't give up on school. One day, you'll walk in these shoes to a future much brighter than you can imagine." Word of the stranger's kindness spread quickly. The villagers, once indifferent, began to notice Arav differently. Some offered him old uniforms, others shared lunch with him at school. His mother wept when he came home with the shoes, hugging him tightly as if all her prayers had been answered at once. For Arav, those shoes were more than leather and laces. They were hope, a reminder that he wasn't invisible, that even in the darkest moments, kindness could appear like a light on the road. And so, every morning, he walked to school again, this time with his head held higher, his steps lighter, and his heart stronger. Not just because of the shoes, but because someone cared enough to stop. A pair of shoes didn't just protect his feet, they restored his hope. One small act of kindness turned despair into determination. Sometimes, the smallest gesture can change the entire course of a life. You never know whose pain you might ease by simply stopping to care. Because kindness doesn't just touch one heart, it can inspire an entire world.